Hey everyone, in this tutorial we are going to get started on Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code or VS Code is a popular IDE that was created by Microsoft. It became incredibly popular among the developer communities and AI engineers alike, given that it is open source, very fast, slick, and you can customize it in a number of different ways through themes and extensions. Now, I'm going to assume that you already have Python and VS Code installed on your computer. Now, once you have your VS Code installed on your computer, we can create a new project. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to create a new folder. I use make directory, and I'm just going to call this first project. And I'm going to cd to this first project, and I'm going to use a command line that comes with the VS Code installation. It's going to be code and dot. So what this is going to do is it will open the VS Code interface. And this interface is where we can create new files, make some code, and eventually be able to run it. Now, the other way to open VS Code is if you just search the application, then this is going to create an empty project setup. So for us to do this, I'll click the open and navigate to the folder that contains the project code. Now, once you have created a new project, we can create a new file. And the way you can do this is you can hold Control, and this is going to create a drop down, and you just click new file, and you can name the file Hello World. I'm going to call mine 𝗙𝗶𝗺𝗶𝗵, and you can see that there is an editor with a blinking cursor. And this is where you can write your first line of code. And I'm going to call mine Hello World. Now, when you write a new code, you can see that there's a white dot, which indicates that this file has been changed. And so it has not been saved yet. And the way we can save this is on Mac, you can hold Command and press S. And that is going to remove this. Now, as I walk through this tutorial, I'm going to be using hotkeys that are based on Mac. If you're a Linux user or Windows user, what you can do is you can correspond to this page, and I'll provide a link to this page in the description below that contains all the popular hotkeys for the different operating system. Now, the other way to create a new file is you can use a hotkey, Command and N on Mac, and this will create a new tab. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write another line of code, and I'm going to call it Hello World 2. And when I save this file, I'll press Command and S, and I have the option to save this file. I'll name it as Hello World 2.py, and you will see that this has been created. Now these tabs are here. You can switch them around. Now, another cool thing about VS Code is the way to look at multiple files in the same interface. So right now, if I'm going back and forth between Hello World versus Hello World 2, I have to keep switching between these tabs. And that's a little bit tedious. So what I can do is I can drag this tab onto this area right here. And you're going to see a region where it's highlighted. And once I've dropped it by releasing the mouse click, then from here I can switch back and forth. And that is incredibly useful, especially if you have a lot of lines of code and maybe you need to cross-reference one file as you're writing new code. Now let's take a step back and try to understand the overall what this interface offers. So if you look at the activity bar, we have the Explorer. And as I said, this is where you can manage your files, but you can also create a new folder. So if you hold Control and click the sidebar and you click New Folder, then you'll see this area where you can input text. And I'm just going to call this New Folder. And this is going to create a new folder with this name. And you can drag and drop a file. You can move it there. You can take it out. So there are some customizations that you can do within this project directory. Later down the road, you're going to have lots and lots of scripts. and you may want to do certain keyword search to make some edit or to fix code. The best way to do that is using the search. So this does keyword search. And this is going to retrieve all of the particular scripts that contain the keyword that you have created. And you can also make some replacement with that keyword as well. The next icon we want to take a look at, this is the source control. So what is nice about VS Code is if you have some experience in doing version control, oftentimes on the terminal you have to type in the git CLI as a way to push code to remote GitHub repository. But you can manage that using this UI. We're not going to talk about in this video lesson how to work with this. This is going to come up in future lesson. And this one, debug right here, it's a super useful tool. If you have lines of code and you want to do some debug, instead of printing or console logging individual line of code, you can run this debug as a way to help streamline that process. And we'll also talk about that in future lesson as well. This extension is what brings some customization via VS Code. So right now I have the extension Pylance, Python, Python debugger, and Python environments. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go on this extension search bar, Python, and click this right here. This is an extension that was created by Microsoft. And you'll go ahead and have to install this. And by default, it's going to come up with the debugger, Pylance, Python environments as well. And that's how you're going to be able to run Python scripts within this interface. And when you have it installed, what you're going to see is this extension for Python. And finally, this extension right here is running for Python tests. And we're going to talk about that in an upcoming lesson as well. Now, the other area is if you ever want to make some customization, maybe change some settings and some themes, this right here is where you can make those changes. This is just for profiles. And then this bottom bar right here, this is called the status bar. This shows the number of errors that you have in your code. And if I go back to this Python script or any script that has lines of code, you're going to see this area being populated. This right here shows where the cursor is currently located. You can see that as I move it around, the numbers keep shifting. LN stands for the line. So because the cursor is at position 1, this is saying 1. If I move it to 2, it says 2. And COL, column, is basically the column position of the cursor. The UTF-LF, I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's basically just the file format and how it's interpreted. And this Python basically is just saying the IDE recognizes that current script is a Python script. If I were to create a new file, and I'm just going to call it, let's just say text.txt. And when I have it on this tab, what I should see is that there's a plain text. So as I move this around, you can see that this bottom, the activity bar, is changing based on the type of file that I'm dealing with. And finally, this bell icon, you're going to see some notifications. So this notification will show up if there's a latest version of VS Code that you may want to install. Finally, let's talk about how to actually run this script. So I'm going to close the other tab and just focus on this one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run this script. And you can see that very top right, there's a play button. You won't see it if you don't have the Python extension installed, but you'll see it automatically. Then once you click this is going to open a terminal area. And you can see that this script has run and it prints the hello world. Now, the other thing about the terminal panel is that you can see that there's this plus button right here. So later, I may want to have multiple services running on my local. And what I can do is I can create a new terminal session. So once I just click that, you can see that there are these tabs that have been created. So I can switch forth between different terminals, kind of like what I did with new files. So as I'm doing some agent code development, maybe in one session, it was going to be running FastAPI, in the other session, maybe Redis. then I may have multiple terminal sessions that are running these services in a concurrent way. And you can also make some customizations with these terminals. So if you have a lot of sessions that are open, it's going to get pretty convoluted. So you can do some customizations. So you can change the color of this. You can even add some icon or even change the name. So later I might say, let's just say Redis. And I might change this color to red. I might change this to, let's just say, Python. I'll leave this as it is, and so on and so forth. So hopefully you have a better understanding of how to get started with VS Code. And we're going to delve into some of the feature offerings further in future videos.